In this demo, we are going to return to the work mode, but this time we're going to focus upon this graph here, the work mode by space type. So again, this is looking at the ways of working within the space, whether that be individual work, collaborative work, virtual, or socializing. But here we are looking at it by the space type. So basically, what type of work is being performed in different spaces. So again, I'm going to come here and get rid of any of the unoccupied observations to reduce some of that kind of background noise here. So here we can, if you want to quickly scan, we can look here between the individual work in yellow and the collaborative work in blue. And we can see here where we have some of the high points of collaboration. So predominantly collaborative work occurring in the multipurpose room, meeting rooms, the lounges, IT support, and in the computer training. Versus if we look here for the predominantly individual work at the assigned desk, the individual assigned offices, focus rooms, reception, storage, and the unassigned desks. Now let's say if I begin to, let's say I want to start to investigate into better understanding some of the data that I had seen in the overall occupancy. So for example, in this project we know that we had a relatively low occupancy of around 22% for the individual workstations versus 25% for the individual assigned offices. So perhaps I want to understand when people actually were coming into the office and sitting down at their desks, whether that be a workstation or an office, what type of work were they doing? So what brings them back to their individual workspaces? So we can look here for the assigned desk, and here when they were coming in and sitting down at their desk, it was predominantly individual work. And then a little bit here, roughly 25-27% collaboration, we could say, between face-to-face, but then actually nearly twice as much virtual work occurring. Versus in the assigned offices, where we see slightly lower, but still the predominant being individual work, versus quite a bit more, nearly 38% collaborative type of work, so face-to-face meetings happening in these offices, with just a little bit here of roughly 9% virtual. So this can start to give me an idea of how people are working when they do come in and use these spaces. So we can now also kind of scan across and maybe take a look at some of these meeting areas. So meeting rooms, predominantly collaborative work, very little virtual work occurring. And the focus rooms, instead, we see quite a bit of virtual collaboration happening as well as face-to-face collaboration. And then 43-44% individual work. So perhaps this is something that I might want to look a little bit deeper into, perhaps discuss in additional interviews. These are focus rooms that perhaps were intended to be more heads down, quiet work, yet they are being used often for what would appear to be either virtual phone calls or conference calls, as well as face-to-face meetings. So again, this might begin to show that there's a need for smaller team rooms, smaller meeting spaces. Perhaps these are being used for quick impromptu meetings that were not planned versus these larger meeting rooms being used for more planned or intended meetings. This is something that could begin to be discussed and teased out a bit further in additional follow-up. We can scan across these open meeting areas. We're seeing quite a lot of collaborative type of activity happening here. Um, it appears within this organization that whereas the heads down quiet work happens at the desk, any sort of, I don't know if we could say noisier or more collaborative type of work is happening away from the desk.